The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.
Welcome to the Tim Heale Podcasts. Well, I've been off for a few days because unfortunately I got the COVID. That's why my voice is a little bit croaky this morning. You'll be pleased to know it was fairly mild. I had a bit of a snotty nose and I've got a little bit of a dry cough at the moment. But I'm getting through it. It's not as bad as they said. It's just like having a bit of a cold. So that's the COVID thing out of the way. Now, I don't know where to start. In fact, yeah, I do. I'm going to start with Chinese spies. Chinese spies in the home of the government? Really? This is straight out of a novel, isn't it? Out of a John le Carré novel. We got a Chinese spy been operating in the Houses of Parliament for at least the last 7 or 8 years. What's that all about? How many state secrets has she been giving away? And it's a Labour government or a Labour MP that's brought her in. Now, another question that needs asking here, in fact there's a few questions, given that the Labour Party are generally, as a general rule, socialists and Marxists, how many of them have brought in Russian spies? Have we got Russians working in the Houses of Parliament? Or Russian backgrounds? Russian sympathisers? And we've got a Chinese one in there. So, are these people not vetted? Do they not go through a rigorous vetting process? There's been a severe lack of something going on here. It just beggars belief. How many other government departments have we got foreign agents in that are feeding back to hostile countries? How many? Are the security services all over it? It's a question that needs asking. It's serious. So that's the first one out of the way, I think. I mean, there's an awful lot we could go into, but for now, it needs sorting out. And I think the security services need to have a serious look at everybody that's working in government, and just to check up on their vetting, to see who's bringing in foreign agents into our infrastructure. Anyway, so let's move on. The next big thing that's been going on, that came out this morning. Prince Andrew has now been stripped of all his royal duties and patronages by the Queen. I don't know where to start with this one. I mean, he's let the country down. He's not only let the country down, he's let his mother, the Queen, down. And he's let himself down. Why did he carry on his affiliation with Epstein once it came to light that he's a wrong 'un? You've got to ask that question. Knowing that he's dodgy, why did he carry on? He's only got himself to blame on this one, hasn't he? Andrew has only got himself to blame. He could have avoided all of this had he been a bit more sensible and kept his dick in his trousers. I'm not saying that he's guilty, mind. However, there's not a lot of smoke without fire somewhere, is there? So the next thing I want to look at is Partygate. Now, this has been rumbling on for a week or so now, or for the last couple of weeks. Now, let's put it in some sort of context. 2 years ago, we're talking 2 years ago, these parties happened. 2 years ago. Why is it now that it's come to light? Where is the agenda? Who's pushing it? Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. We got everybody and his brother. It's all over the mainstream media. It's even on talk radio are chasing this one. It's outrageous that while we were in the most draconian lockdown measures you could imagine, we're stuck. Everybody's stuck in these restricted to being locked away pretty much. Yet Downing Street seem impervious. They think it's fine to be able to have a party in the garden because, well, it's a workplace, blah, 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 blah. No. They're taking liberties with our good nature is what they've done. And just to throw an handful of salt into the wound, while the Queen was burying Prince Philip, they had a big party in Downing Street the night before. It's just come out today. Excuse me. It's just beggars belief. Apparently Boris wasn't at that one, but come on, let's play the game. Fess up. If it means that Boris has got to fall on his sword, then so be it. But let's stop this nonsense of one rule for them and one rule for us. If they're going to impose draconian measures on us, then they should abide by them themselves, I'm afraid. And that's my feeling on it. And all this Partygate malarkey is taking away some of the more important issues that need addressing. Still got the COVID, sorry. This COVID has put the country in debt to around about getting close to 3 trillion. That's 3 trillion, not billion, trillion pounds. That's an awful lot of taxpayers' money that's got to be paid back. They've borrowed somewhere close to 3 trillion quid. Somebody's going to make an awful lot of money. We didn't have that sort of debt when we came out of the Second World War. And they only finished paying that debt off in 1994. 1994, correct me if I'm wrong, is when we, the British public, finished paying the Americans back for all that war supplies that they gave us. How long is it going to take us to pay back that 3 trillion quid? And that 3 trillion quid is gaining interest all the time. So it's not going down, it's going to be going up. So, where are we going? And on top of it, now we've got energy prices skyrocketing. And the government can actually do something about it. They can stop this nonsense and this green tax. They can take away that 20 or 25% green tax that they put on everybody's energy bill, gas and electric, to pay for their green agenda. What we need to do is invest in some sensible stuff, like these modular nuclear reactors, like getting our own shale gas, like storing our own gas, not subbing it out to Europe. This COVID is it's a dry, tickly cough. That's what needs to happen. It's just beggars belief that we're paying for wind farms that don't work when the wind's not blowing, and solar farms that don't work when the sun's not shining. Yet we're all expected to invest in it because it's the way forward. It ain't the way forward. The way forward is modular nuclear reactors, and lots of them dotted around the country. You look at one of the nuclear submarines. They've got one of these modular nuclear reactors on board that feeds the whole boat. Why can't we have that? One of those reactors will feed a large town or a couple of large towns and all the villages around it. That's what needs to happen. And as time goes on, they'll find better ways of dealing with the waste. But the small nuclear reactors don't produce a huge amount, but what you get in return for the energy that they produce is immeasurable, and it will be cheaper to fund in the end. People's bills will be cheaper. What they also need to do is tap into all that shale gas that we've got, and that's the way forward as well. Instead of buying in gas from Russia that can turn off the tap or put up the price at will, and we'll all have to cough up and make the Russians rich. Let's be self-sufficient on our own energy. Let's start taking back our utilities instead of selling them off to every hostile country. France owns half of our energy companies. China is into everything else. It's wrong. We need to start investing in this country, start investing in our own products. Instead of buying stuff in from China, let's invest in the UK. Let's get our industries back. And let's stop this green nonsense. We don't make an ounce of difference, not an ounce of difference, to CO2 emissions across the world, globally. Not when you look at what China, India, America, and then Uncle Tom Cobley and all is knocking out. Man doesn't make that much of an impact. Nature has more of an impact. Down in La Palma, the volcano's spewing out more CO2 than the rest of the world put together. But it happens naturally. Now, it's carrying on. We've got a week or two of fair weather. And what does that mean? Illegal migrants crossing the channel again. Oh, breaking me. It's breaking me. It really is breaking me. However, I shall carry on. We need to get out of the European Human Rights Convention. It's breaking us. It's stopping us from deporting all those illegal migrants that have come into the country who we don't know who they are, because the first thing they do is ditch all their ID and they claiming to be asylum seekers. They ain't. They're economic migrants. And we don't know where they're coming from. They could be foreign agents, for all we know. They could be sleepers. They could rise up against the country. There could be a revolt of these people. And we're just sleepwalking, just letting it happen. Yeah, bring them in. Let them come. And we put them in 4-star hotels at the cost of £125 per head per day. And when you think last year there was close on 29,000, so that's 29,000 times 125, plus the others that came in the year before. There was 8,000 odd, nearly 9,000 in 2020. And they reckon that there's going to be close on 40,000 crossing that channel this year. This is unsustainable. This cannot be allowed to continue. We need to get out of the ECHR and they come in, give them a hot cup of tea to warm them up, stick them on the first ferry back to France, or stick them on a plane back to where they came from. If they claim to come from somewhere like Syria, stick them on a plane to Syria. If they claim to come from Afghanistan, put them on a plane to Afghanistan. They'll soon tell you where they come from if they're going somewhere like that, won't they? And all the while, genuine asylum seekers that are applying in the countries where they're at risk of losing their lives are being ignored. Their cases are just getting further and further underneath the bottom of the pile. So let's stop this. This has to stop. This has to be one of the government's priorities, along with sorting out this green agenda, sorting out the economic crisis that we're in, and start getting on with bringing this country back. They also need to scrap Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol, and we need to go WTO with Europe, or with the European Union. It's the only way that we're going to be able to get on, because at the moment the EU have got us in the palm of their hand. They've got our nuts in a vice. They're just stringing us along. They are just taking liberties with our good nature. They are just taking the mickey out of us. They're just prolonging the agony. And at every twist and turn, they'll just keep on. So the only way that we're going to be able to move forward is to get on a WTO with the EU. End of story. We've got all these trade deals with the rest of the world that we're quite happily trading on WTO terms. Why can we not do exactly the same with the EU? Stands to reason. Yeah, all right, they're their closest neighbours, whatever. But we can trade with them on WTO. We can set our own tariffs. And if they want to put a bit of tariff on us, we just put a little bit of tariff back on them. The same as we do with the rest of the world that we're trading with. Anyway, one of the last things I want to finish on is poor old Novak Djokovic and his dramas going on in Australia. I mean, Australia, let's face it, have got some of the most draconian measures in the world, and they're mandating vaccines for everybody. It's not going to end well, all this mandating vaccines. It shouldn't be mandated. It should be down to individuals. If they was to give people the correct information, give people the opportunity to have these tests that show that you've got T-cell immunity, where you don't need a vaccine or where you do need a vaccine. That's what they need to do. Rather than forcing people. The last time that people were forced into having stuff done was during the Second World or before the Second World War. And that didn't end well, did it? So let's not keep pushing this agenda of people having to have mandatory vaccinations. Because I'm triple jabbed and I've had my flu jab. I've got COVID. So, although it doesn't stop you getting it, it just reduces the symptoms, apparently. So, let's just be sensible about this. If people don't want it and they get it and it's bad for them, tough. But Novak Djokovic, yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not really fussed what happens. I think it'll be a shame if he doesn't get to defend his title. But, you know, he's the one that's put him in this position. He's the one that's kind of told a couple of porcupines, isn't he? So, yeah, he knows that they've got these draconian measures. I mean, should they take away the Australian Open, the World Tennis, because of them being draconian on their measures? I don't know. It's a funny old one, isn't it? It's a funny one to answer that. Anyway, there's so much more I could go on about. But I'm not going to. I'm going to put you out of your misery. I've gone on for far too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wish everybody safe. Stay away from COVID. It's not a lot of fun. Trust me, it's not a lot of fun. But there you go. Thank you for your time. And if you could like, subscribe, share and comment. I don't see many comments, but I don't see many likes either. So if you can give it the old click and like, it does make a difference. So for now, thank you for your time.
The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.